premium roofing system. Backed by our 50-year warranty. And there's a 0% financing, no payment for 6 months options that this customer utilized. If you're looking for a new roof and you need an affordable option, call Absolute Restoration.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Well, so far so good, right? I mean, a beautiful forecast across North Mississippi, as has been the case for forever. At this point, that's all we can remember. But coming into Mississippi Live Weather at 6, I want to give a big welcome to everybody joining us. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor, and yes, it's dry, it's clear, but there are a multitude of things that we'll be tracking here in the Room to Room Weather Center over the next several days. The first one being that gradual warm-up, kind of destabilizing that atmosphere, adding the heat, adding the moisture, and setting the scene for what should be an active Saturday. And of course, that leads into our second headline, Saturday's severe weather potential. Still a lot of questions and a lot of answers that we're looking to provide, and hopefully we'll be able to provide that here at the 6 o'clock hour. But I'll be honest, long track model's not exactly doing anyone any favors, and so we're hopeful that over the next several days we'll get some of those short range models that are a little bit higher resolution that can kind of walk through that forecast. But we have a little bit of answers, and we'll walk through that here at the 6 o'clock hour. And of course, the one I'm most happy about, ready for a cool down? Have you had that fall gear out and kind of been looking at it longingly during the afternoon during those warm temperatures? Well, don't worry. Next week, we're looking like a good forecast, and fall will definitely be kicking in around that time. So the first 12 this evening, we can kind of get that taste of fall as we head overnight. Temperatures dropping from the mid-70s all the way into the mid-50s for the start of our Thursday. So those mornings, yes, you can have the long sleeves, but afternoons just abnormally warm, and will continue to be that case for our Thursday as well. Clear conditions, that's what's allowing those temperatures to just cool off overnight, so no complaints there, and just have those long sleeves ready. Beautiful sunsets across the region. This one there in Aberdeen, our reporting station, not getting the data right now, but this is all the data you need. Sunset happening right now, and it is going to be that warm temperature until that sun sets and cooler temperatures move into the region. But just a great shot there. I love looking at these sky cams because it kind of shows us all around the region just why North Mississippi sunsets are the best. Cleveland, 84 degrees as well. Winds whipping that flag around just a bit, our nation's flag. And of course, a beautiful shot right there. So folks out in Cleveland, hopefully getting out this evening to enjoy it. Maybe enjoy it before those midweek services, but even beyond that point, once those services wrap up, we'll be good to go as well. Mississippi Live Weather Radar, dry as can be, as we walked through just a moment ago, or just in the last hour. So since 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, nothing has changed. Since 5 a.m. to 6 p.m., nothing has really changed. So that's just the calm pattern that we've been in. Satellite imagery does show those clear conditions across the region. Expanding things out, there's a little bit of cloud cover out there towards the west that will be moving into our area, but overall, the entire southeast, clear, dry, however you want to word it, beautiful forecast. Mississippi Live Weather Radar, of course, our analysis mode kind of shows us where those fronts are moving through, and the big thing that we're looking at is this high pressure. High pressure, of course, circulating in some of those winds there from the north, and that's why we still have that northerly, almost northeasterly flow at this point. That's continuing to provide this continental air right here towards our northern neighbors, and that's that drier and cooler forecast. So that, of course, is moving here to North Mississippi. But as that high, let me clear this off here real quick and kind of walk through what we're watching over the next several days. This high will start to shift a little bit more out there towards the east. And as it does so, those winds shift from a northerly direction to more of a easterly direction. And then once it fully clears, it'll start to wrap in from the south, and of course that Gulf moisture moving back into the region. All of this happening within the next 48 hours, and we'll see that right here on Futurecast, giving us a general idea of that movement. You can see slowly but surely, yes, inch by inch, progressing across the Great Lakes there of Michigan, and that's around the 10 o'clock hour, but not really much movement to it during our Wednesday night into the start of our Thursday. So winds keeping from the north, giving us that cooler and calmer forecast. So don't expect anything different for the start of our Thursday. Very copy and paste from what we've been getting the past several days. So we keep that Futurecast going for your 6 a.m. hour on your Thursday. Morning commutes looking splendid across the region, and high pressure right over the state of Michigan at 9 a.m. So that will continue to progress out towards the east, and like I said, shifting those winds as the day goes on. You can kind of see right here, that gives a good idea. North-northeast at 6 miles an hour for the start of the day. During the afternoon, east-northeast. So slowly but surely, trust me, it will really start to shift into our Friday. That's one of the things we'll be walking through here in the next 60. But first, let's focus on our Thursday forecast. Dry as can be, sunshine just abundantly shining there in our North Mississippi sky for our Thursday. But there you see a little bit of cloud cover moving in. That's that moisture returning, and that'll be a big driver in our forecast. And of course, we'll be walking through that in more detail here in the Room to Room Weather Center for Saturday's severe weather potential. What exactly this means for our forecast heading into our football games. We'll have all of the latest details on that forecast and a few more glimpses at that beautiful sunset. Just can't get enough of it. So we'll have more looks outside. Thank you to the North Mississippi Storm Chasers, and we'll see you back here in the next 60 with more on that extended forecast.
Harvey's Curbside to Go means you can experience quality anywhere. Call in and pick it up on your way home without leaving your car. No cooking, no cleaning, just dinner. Harvey's, a difference you can taste.
Tupelo Smiles is a top-notch group. They're very compassionate about what they do. They've given me the smile that I've always wanted. I've been a patient for 15 years and I wouldn't go anywhere else. I just love Tupelo Smiles.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Welcome back for Mississippi Live Weather at 6. We're getting another look out on our Mississippi Live Weather radar, but this is really the last look we need at it as of this point because it's just dry, it's clear, there's really nothing to see on radar as of this point. And as we cycled it back over the last 7 days, hasn't been anything since then. So just that long-range forecast being a very dry pattern and one that we're continuing to take advantage of. But that pattern does shift over the next several days as we enter our Saturday severe weather threat, and a big driver in that forecast will of course be what happens over the next 48 hours. We'll have answers on that here in just a moment, but that risk over northwest sections of North Mississippi and really pushing out there east for some sections of Highway 45. So we'll look at that in more detail in just a moment, but there's the latest look at that severe weather threat, that slight risk still in place for our Saturday evening. Bringing it back here to North Mississippi, you can see those beautiful conditions outside with blue skies galore in Macon, 82 degrees, and that orange on the horizon means that sun is setting, and that 82 degrees will start to cool off and make it feel a little bit more like how it should this time of year. Fall is in season, just hasn't really felt like it because of those warm temperatures. So at least those nighttime temperatures trying to abide by the seasons, but hey, kind of depends on where you're at. But that church forecast there in Kosciuszko, you can see a few cars out there in the parking lot there. I love this shot right here because it has the church. I actually need to get which church that is. I don't know why I've never looked that up, but yeah, so church is about to have their midweek services. So if you're about to head out the door, I'll try to be quick for you and walk you through what you can expect for the rest of your evening. Looking at that church forecast in particular, we're seeing 80 degrees by 6, 71 there by 8 as that sun starts to set, and 65 by 10 p.m. So a great forecast and one that you need to be taking advantage of, whether it's hearing about Jesus or getting outside to just enjoy the forecast yourself. Either way will work. Of course, I encourage the midweek services to just get a little bit of a taste of what the Lord wants to teach you, but hey, you do you. Futurecast Wednesday evening, of course, those clear conditions remaining in place, and that'll be the case all evening long. But I'm going to expand this out because, we've seen the local forecast and know that nothing is really able to be seen here in North Mississippi. We need to go on a broader scale to kind of walk through what exactly is taking place in that forecast. And the big driver is that high pressure center up there towards the Great Lakes. That, of course, progressing out there towards the east and kind of changing our winds or shifting our winds just a bit as we get into those overnight hours of our Thursday, or should I say Wednesday night into our Thursday. So as that shifts more east, those winds start to shift as well. And if we zoom back in here to North Mississippi, you can see that those winds still coming out of the northeast during those overnight hours. So Thursday morning starting out, it's going to be a beautiful forecast with low temperatures in the mid to upper 50s, but it is also going to be the coolest day over the next several. As you can see right here, 57 Tupelo, 58 Columbus, and 56 down around Kosciuszko. As we get into that extended forecast, both our lows and high temperature start to climb over those next few days. So let's go ahead and get into that with, well, I was going to say Futurecast, but first let's check our school day forecast. 56 degrees around drop-off, 77 towards lunch, and 85 by that final bell. So there's a sign of the warmer conditions. Today, reaching about 83, 84 degrees. So tomorrow, 85, 86, maybe even 87 in some spots. But we'll see that in just a moment. But the big driver, clear skies, all of that heating from the atmosphere reaching us here at the surface and warming us up nicely as we get into our Thursday afternoon. So let's go ahead and take that forecast out. We're talking 9 a.m. on our Thursday. And as you can see behind me, we do have that front that's inching closer and closer there towards Kansas and Oklahoma. That's the front that we're watching for impacts here in North Mississippi, affecting, me and many folks here in the area. But high pressure also being driven out is going to be a big determining factor. So as that clears out, more of that moisture can build in. So that's going to be, how quickly does that clear out? That's going to be a big driver in this forecast as well. So 1:30, already getting a look at those winds shifting. You can kind of see that clockwise motion that we see right here. And so those winds on the east side of that system, again, bringing in that northern air here to North Mississippi. But as we get into our afternoon and evening hours, already those winds starting to shift just a bit. And let's bring it back to our North Mississippi view right here. And you're seeing those come out of the east just a bit more during that 6 p.m. hour. And we'll see that really heading into our Friday forecast as well. So high temperatures normal this time of year, 77 degrees. So as you can see, or abnormal, but this is usual. This time, or during this week, we've been above average all week long, so no surprise there. But 86 in Amory will be seen for our Thursday, 88 Grenada, and 87 there towards Cleveland. I know you do see the 190 possible for our forecast. Will we reach 90? Either way, 89, 90 degrees, it really doesn't matter. It's still going to be warm, especially for our fall forecast. Record is 91 degrees actually, so we'll be just under that threshold for our Thursday forecast. As we take Futurecast, continue that into the extended forecast, you can see where things really start to shift. Of course, winds coming out of the northeast here at 8 p.m. on your Thursday. Watch how we head overnight and those winds start to become more out of the east there by 10, 11, and 12 o'clock. This is already showing the shift that will take place as that high pressure is driven out. But as that high pressure is driven out, those winds, of course, keep those clockwise motion. But at some point when it's far enough towards the east, we start to get these wind directions that come directly out of the Gulf. And then that'll, of course, cycle in some of that moisture back into the area, which then destabilizes our atmosphere as a result. So as you can see right here, and I'll draw and then clear out of the way, you can see how all of this moisture already moving into parts of Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. Of course, as that high pressure continues out towards the east, all of that moisture does move here to North Mississippi and Mississippi as a whole. This destabilizes the atmosphere, and that front acting as a lifting mechanism will allow for some scattered showers and storms to occur for our Saturday. So still, this is Friday morning. We're a couple days, or should I say 1 day out before we get those impacts here. But in order for that to take place for our Saturday, we need that moisture to return. So we're going to see those clouds return for our Friday, and that could happen as early as Friday morning. And as we get more of that home view there back in North Mississippi, we can see that a few showers, hinting at a few showers possible. Don't really expect any showers for our Friday. Reason why is because A, it's an uphill battle with how dry things have been. If anything, this is just upping those dew points 5-10 degrees, getting us back to that more moist atmosphere. So in order for that to happen, cloud cover, of course, has to happen first, and then we get the rainfall. I don't think we're fully in that rainfall threshold just yet, and this is our strike model, which is one of our more aggressive models. So it having a few pop-up showers, not exactly selling me on that forecast. What I want you guys to really take a look at here is, of course, cloud cover building into the area, but also these winds directly out of the south at this point. So that is affecting a lot of the moisture into our region, and of course, moisture means a destabilized atmosphere. We talk about dew points a lot. When those dew points climb, that, of course, is a more fuel for these storms to take place. So Friday evening already showcasing that. Not expecting any rainfall for those Friday evening football games, but what it is doing is priming the atmosphere for more of an active Saturday. So 9 p.m. on your Friday, still dry, still clear, although it will be a little bit, I'm not saying summer-like stickiness, but maybe a little bit more sticky as we get outside. So not exactly going to be the abnormally dry forecast we've had over the past 7 days. High temperatures for your Friday, pairing that with some of that humidity returning. 87 in Houston, could be up to about 88 or 89 degrees. 89 Grenada, same thing, bumping it up a degree or two for feels-like values, and 91 there towards Greenwood. This is for your Friday evening forecast, or Friday afternoon, should I say. So that is putting us right in preparation for those football games. But let's go ahead and get into high temperatures, and this will be a big thing that we can point out over the next several days, because as you can see, mid-80s Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, falling off Sunday all the way into the mid-70s. And if this is not enough for you, look at the low temperatures. Watch right here as we transition more into those morning lows. We're talking 59, 62, 64. down to 47. That is a 17-degree temperature swing, showing that the effects behind the front are going to be very impactful and one that we are excited for. I was telling my wife on the phone earlier that I think we could get away with long sleeves all day on Monday, being that we're 47 and then highs around 74. So no complaints there. Get those sweatshirts out. You'll definitely need it. And rain chances have also been ticked up just a little bit. So 40% on Saturday is what we've been seeing. 20% Sunday, we've been seeing that. But Monday and Tuesday, another frontal boundary trying to push on through will give us some scattered showers, more isolated showers at best, as that front swings on through and drops those temperatures once again. So that's kind of keeping us in this fall-like pattern. And again, not complaining one bit about that forecast. So I want to see if I'm missing anything right here in the chat, because we are going to be talking more about this severe weather threat on Saturday. And I want you guys to go ahead and put any questions that you have in the chat. I know there's a lot of posts coming out on social media, and I want to be able to address some of those if you guys have any questions from what you've been able to see, and we'll hopefully get some of those answers here in the next couple of minutes. But go ahead and put those in chat and let us know what you're wondering. Let us know any questions you may have, and we'll address that here in the next block. But let's focus on our Thursday forecast. I don't want to completely jump over the beautiful forecast we do have, and that is 56 around 7, 81 by noon, and 86 during that afternoon time frame. So again, sunshine heating up that atmosphere, going to be a toasty one, relatively speaking, for this time of year for our Thursday, and same thing for our Friday. We do see that cloud cover building back, partly cloudy skies for Friday. No chance of rainfall, but Saturday, really Saturday evening is when that rain chance moves back into the forecast. Thunderstorms expected in that time frame, and a few of those on the stronger side. Again, we'll look at a full breakdown of that forecast here in just a moment. 86 degrees falling to 74, and 64-degree lows falling into 47. I mean, that is just unreal. It brings a smile to my face to think about. So just excited to experience a calm after the storm. Can we call it that? I think we're going to call it that. So hopefully we'll be able to address that more in detail. But something else that brings a smile to my face is getting to learn more about the land down under. And Chief Meteorologist Matt Lobhan has been doing a great job with his Australia series, and he has another update from what he's seeing from the wonders of Australia.
Well, we are in the famous Sydney Opera House. We're just outside of the main performance space in there. Unfortunately, I can't show you in the performance space because, well, they're getting ready for a performance and I don't want to give that all away. So the glass you see behind me, French glass, specifically designed for this venue. One of the main signs that it was going to go over budget when they did. You can also see, of course, the metal designed for the expansion and contraction. And one of the interesting things is the actual performance venue itself, and then the wood here. If you look closely, there's a gap up there toward the top. The shelf structure that makes up the Opera House here is actually separate from the interior performance spaces as well. They're designed too, and there's a gap between so that they can do maintenance and they can, just keep everything up. So kind of cool little things. As we mentioned a little bit ago, as you can see, tiles make up the actual outside of that. I don't know if we can get that to, there we go. You can kind of see the individual tiles. More than 1 million tiles cover the outside and are original to the early 1970s construction of the building itself. So anyway, from inside of the historic Sydney Opera House, I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lobhan from Mississippi Live Weather. And again, thank you so much to the folks there in Clothiers for sponsoring this trip here for us. So I'll leave you kind of with the very high, complicated, but interesting construction of this world landmark.
You need some help?
Your tow chains are a little loose. Could spark a wildfire. I could show you how to secure them properly if you'd like.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Anytime. You should check out SmokeyBear.com. They've got a bunch of tips on wildfire prevention.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
If you love them enough to drive an hour to cheer them on as they get beat 11-0 in the rain, then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
Scary that it can be put into anything, and we can't even see it or notice it.
Well, welcome back into Mississippi Live Weather at 6, and a big thank you to Chief Meteorologist Matt Lobhon out in Australia, showing us parts of his journey of what he's getting to see. And trust me, I'm learning things from those videos. I mean, I didn't even know the Opera House looked like that. I just saw the shot on Finding Nemo, like I talked about at 5 o'clock, where I was content with it. I honestly thought it was like a canopy type thing. So learn something new every day. So shout out Matt for bringing us along on his journey. So let's go ahead and bring it back here to what we're dealing with. And we have our own type of phenomena going on. And that is Saturday's severe weather threat. As you can see right here, this is that level 2 risk that's in place for your Saturday, primarily Saturday during the PM hours. And we'll break down that timing here in just a moment. But it has been expanded since we last looked at it all the way there to Lee County, Prentiss County, Alcorn, and Tishomingo County, and for folks down around Attala, Choctaw, Webster, and Chickasaw. So this has seen a gradual expansion east as we've gone over the past several days, but if we look at the grand scheme of things, you can definitely see that that bullseye remains right over the top of Arkansas. So folks over there towards Little Rock, we're expecting some severe weather for you guys, but how much of that front does linger into North Mississippi, or primarily Northwest Mississippi? We've been talking behind the scenes, and we do feel like Little Rock is still the primed area, but some parts of Mississippi could see some strong wind gusts, and we'll break that down here right now. So Futurecast, this is a look at your Thursday afternoon. Again, dry as can be, clear as can be, and this is again our long track model, our American model, our GFS is what we call it. But if we take that forecast into our Friday, you can see cloud cover already starting to return. Those partly cloudy conditions destabilizing the atmosphere, upping those dew points, and making for, I'm not going to say a primed environment, but more primed than what it is right now. And so what we see Friday in regards to dew points, in regards to the moisture returning to the air, will be, a big depictor of what we get for our Saturday. So let's go ahead and get into Saturday. So here's a look at Friday afternoon. And of course, as we get into our Saturday morning, still dry and still clear. But timing has shifted on the American model, lining up more with our European model. European has kept it during that overnight threat beyond midnight, but now the American kind of aligning with that. So 3 p.m. still dry across the region, so we're looking good for any of those afternoon activities you want to get done during your Saturday. But watch how we get into midnight, and there's where those showers and storms start to push into the forecast. Now, intensity will not be overly high on this model, and I don't want you to really pay attention to that because we do believe at least a few severe storms, or a few strong storms, should I say, are possible. But that isolated activity, this prefrontal activity pushing in there by midnight, and if we keep that forecast going 2-3 a.m., that's where that line of storms moves in place. Now the line, or the frontal boundary, we call it, would be where I expect those strongest wind gusts to occur. That gradient just a little bit stronger, and we'll get some winds upwards of 40, 50, maybe even 60 miles an hour to produce some severe thunderstorm warnings. That's 3 a.m. on your Sunday, continuing to 5 and 6 a.m. on your Sunday as that progresses more into the Golden Triangle and for folks down south and east of us. But as we get into that extended forecast for the rest of our Sunday, Sunday morning looking fine. A large part of that unstable air now out there towards Alabama, and what we're left with is just going to be those rainy systems that give us that moderate rainfall that we still need. We just don't really want the severe element with it. And so honestly, pastors, if you're wondering, hey, do we keep church going or anything like that, you'll be good to go. Again, this is 7 a.m. and just dealing with that rainy forecast, your congregation just may need the umbrella as we head out the door for church or anything of that matter. So Sunday, 9 a.m., still dealing with those calmer conditions, and as will be the case for 11 a.m. as those showers try to work their way out of the region. And even into our Sunday night, definitely possible to see a few of those showers take place. So let's go ahead and get into fuel. And I want to explain this in a little bit more detail. So fuel is a product that we call CAPE here in the weather world. And as you can see, compare the two. And this is at 12 p.m. on our Saturday, still with the American model. And look at the difference. Very limited fuel out there towards North Mississippi with what is produced moisture-wise here in our area. Out there towards Arkansas, and this is why we believe this is a heightened severe weather threat compared to where we are here in North Mississippi, is because their fuel is just 10 times better. Better, not really the word there, but at least more primed to produce strong storms. So as we get into the afternoon, you can see how that threshold for fuel are very high at the 12 o'clock hour as that front pushes on through. Again, this is right over the top of the front, that front really just getting into North Mississippi at this point. What we're left with here in North Mississippi is limited fuel, and albeit very concentrated fuel out there towards the Mississippi Delta. So yes, we do have that risk extending all the way into Lee County. I don't know if I necessarily believe it's going all the way that east. And I know that's bold to say this early out, but the fact that we have those models out and the fact that we have those risk areas out, I do want to say that you're going to see shots on social media that kind of explain that, hey, Lee County, you're in the risk area. Does it reach as far east as Lee County? We're still 3 days away, and there's still a lot of questions. And fuel regarding our American model, not exactly primed to reach all the way east to Highway 45. And so we have it reaching the Mississippi Delta, and I would say that fuel is enough right there along the Mississippi River during that midnight hour. But just watch over time how it kind of just is very limited as we get out there towards 45. So that risk encompassing all of this fuel right there, which gets into New Albany, Boonville, Tupelo, but it's just very limited fuel. And so that's why I'm not overly high on those severe weather chances. And again, that's where it really sticks around that same boundary right there. And with those brighter reds right along the Tennessee state line and out there towards the Mississippi Delta, Clarksdale, and then into eastern Arkansas. So this threshold right here, I wish I had a drawing tool right here, but you can follow my mouse. So from Tunica, or actually I'll move it as far east as Marshall County, Holly Springs, all the way down here to Highway or I-55 in Greenwood, that diagonal line right there, and then towards Belzona and into the Mississippi Delta and on there towards Arkansas, Louisiana. That's where I would say is the best chance of seeing at least 1 or 2 severe storms during your overnight hours. As of right now, I don't have a full belief that it's going to reach as far east as it will, but mine can be changed over the next few days as short-range model runs come out. That's why they're essential when we kind of compare those things, but using the long-track models we do have, that's what I'm kind of sold on. Not impossible to get a few rumbles of thunder out there on the east side of I-55, but I'm not fully sold on that severe weather potential, especially coming out of a drier atmosphere. That's why Friday, with the dew points, we're really going to look at that in full detail to kind of get a better idea on what to expect for Saturday. So this isn't set in stone. What I'm saying is not scripture. This is something that is using what we're finding out right now as what the belief will be for our Saturday. So expect that forecast to it's always can and will change. Expect that forecast to change. I'm putting it, that is the word right now. So 9 a.m., of course, that fuel does replenish. So also the big thing with this threat is the fact that it's occurring overnight. Usually during the afternoon this time of year is when we get those stronger severe weather parameters. Being that our daytime heating is away and we're relying on what's left over from that heat and what's left over from that moisture, I mean, just how much of that is still sticking around and that prefrontal development, how much of that energy does that eat up before that main line reaches the area? So there's several things that can make this thing just become showers and thunderstorms, but there's several things that could make it into a more significant event with some strong to severe wind gusts. So we're paying attention to all of that. All forms of severe weather are possible, but the main threat is going to be wind gusts. Tornadoes as well as hail are very limited, and we'll see that here in just a moment as we progress this into the rest of our Sunday. We'll kind of see how that fuel is driven out there towards the south and east of us, and then we're going to be left with a much drier, much calmer forecast, a much more fall-like pattern. So that's something we can look forward to and enjoy, but here's a look at that confidence level for those severe weather parameters. Low for tornadoes and low for hail. I would almost put this on very low for the tornado side of things, where it's a non-zero chance, which means it's possible, but the environment's not exactly primed for tornadoes to take place. Medium risk for, or medium confidence for those strong wind gusts, and that's 60 plus miles an hour, reaching that threshold. I think along that leading edge, we for sure get 30 to 40 mile an hour gusts, just because that's usually what we see with a strong gradient like this. But reaching all the way up to 60 plus miles an hour really depends on how much instability is still in the atmosphere during our overnight hours. Now, flash flooding potential, that is a realistic possibility because rain does happen, whether it's severe or not, and that can build up over time whenever it is those heavier producing showers and storms. So I do see some folks in the chat asking questions, and we're going to talk about that right now. So asking if we talked about Saturday. Well, we just did. And if you have any questions, Cameron, be sure to put that down in the comments. We'd love to answer a little bit more, but I hope that at least answers, a few of the questions that we may have going into this. Again, you're going to see a lot of posts on social media, us included. We like to keep you guys informed and just kind of walking through what to expect. That's my belief on this thing, and I've talked to, the meteorologists on our team. That's kind of the generalized belief on this. Arkansas going to be the focal point with this system, but what's left over, what stays in northwest Mississippi could produce some strong storms as a result. So we'll see tomorrow with some of our short-range models being produced, and we'll see more into our Friday with that moisture replenishing into our atmosphere, just what exactly takes place. So I apologize. I wish I could say this time they will have these impacts with this amount of rainfall production. It's just not a possibility right now with the long-range model runs, but we're at least getting closer to where some of those questions can get answered. Another question is what will we be getting in the Tupelo area Saturday? So again, that's a big driver or a big question because of what is still in place in our area instability wise. If they're still at least a little bit lingering, then we could see some of those strong wind gusts heavy rainfall, maybe even some large hail. I would say the low confidence tornado threat, the little threat we do have would be primarily out west of 55 and into Arkansas. But for us here, strong gusty winds, definitely a realistic possibility with this system. So if you guys have any more questions in chat, make sure to put them in chat, and we will hopefully answer those tonight at 10 as more model runs come out. But like I said, I wanted to kind of address Saturday's threat and walk that through that forecast in a little bit more detail and get you guys some answers going forward. So we'll continue to track this here behind the scenes in the Room to Room Weather Center going forward. But yeah, all eyes are on Saturday moving forward. And then once Saturday's done, hey, all eyes are on next week as much better forecast moves in place. That's what we're excited to talk about. But we need to keep you guys informed for right now over the next couple of days. So is also available right here. Of course, it keeps Mississippi families safe. Let me backtrack. There we go. Okay, let me pull this back up. I didn't want that lower part. My mic is off. Is it back on? I think it's back on. I don't think that was on the whole time. Basically, download weather call. I love mics. My word, technology is so fun. Download weather call, and so you guys can stay informed as we get into that forecast. And of course, $15 a year saves lives. We'll call you when anything is happening, and we'll let you know what's headed your way so you can get to your safe place. But go ahead and get those safe plans figured out and get prepared for Saturday. And like I said, that first layer of protection. Our next broadcast happening at 10 p.m. this evening, so after those church services. So enjoy your midweek services, and we'll see you back here very shortly. And I want to remind you guys, morning forecast is readily available with meteorologist Maggie McCauley, 6:37 and 7:30 each weekday. So it prepares you for the day ahead, but she's also walking through Saturday's severe weather threat, keeping you guys posted on those risk areas as well as those model runs. Just what they're saying, they change every 6 hours on the longer track runs. So we definitely need to be staying informed as each one comes out. So we appreciate you guys joining us. We'll see you back here in a couple of hours. Until then, have a great evening.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt LaPon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt LaPon has proven himself trustworthy.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather